Hey everyone, welcome to Breathe and Unpack. I'm Maya, and this is our space to slow down, breathe, and talk honestly about the things life throws at us. Here, nothing is off limits. Relationships, family, work, stress, and personal struggles. Sometimes we'll vent, sometimes we'll reflect, but every time we'll ask, what can I take away from this? You're not just listeners, you're part of our support system. That means we share, we listen, we learn, and we leave the judgment at the door. And if you need to cry or get emotional here, that's okay too. This space is built for honesty. If you've got a story you want to share or something you're unpacking in your own life, email me at breathe, the letter N, unpack at gmail.com. That's breathe and unpack at gmail.com. I might read it here on the show so we can all grow together. And just a quick note, this podcast is about personal opinions and experiences. It's not medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. So take a breath, lean in, and let's unpack life together. Welcome to the support system. As always, we're just exploring here, breathing through what comes up and unpacking it gently at our own pace. Let's take a moment to breathe, settle in, and slowly unpack whatever is unfolding for us today. Today we're talking about lies. Not just dramatic betrayal lies, not just scandal type lies, not just the obvious stuff where everybody can clearly point and say, "Yup, that was a lie." We're talking about deception and layers, the everyday lies, the edits, the omissions, the half truths, the way people manage what you know. Honest, but not really. That title is the whole vibe of this episode. Because most people are not walking around fully dishonest like a cartoon villain. It's more subtle. It's, I'm going to tell you something true, but I'm going to leave out the part that changes everything. So let's define it clearly, but in normal words. A lie is when you say something you know is not true because you want someone to believe something else. That's the basic definition. And in more textbook terms, psychologists describe lying as a deliberate attempt to mislead. But deception is bigger than lying. Deception can be omission, leaving things out on purpose, exaggeration, making it sound bigger than it actually is, fabrication, making something up, distortion, twisting the truth, deflection, answering a different question than the one asked. So yes, someone can deceive you without saying a single direct lie. And that's where honest but not really lives. Technically true, emotionally misleading. And this topic is deep because it touches everything: romantic relationships, friendships, family, work, social media, even the lies we tell ourselves. So we're going to unpack all of it. Let's start with the little lies we normalize. I'm fine. It's not that deep. I'm on the way. I forgot. I didn't see it. It's nothing. We joke about these, and sometimes they really are harmless. Sometimes it's politeness. Sometimes it's somebody just trying to get through their day without having a whole emotional conversation right then and there in that moment. But the problem is, small lies can become a habit, and habits create culture. So if your relationship culture is built on smoothing, avoiding, and editing, then when something serious happens, honesty is already not the foundation. Now let's talk about wild lies. Wild lies are the ones that shift your reality, not just, "I said I was on the way, but I wasn't." I mean lies that change what you're deciding, lies that change your choices, lies that make you look back later and feel like, wait, I didn't even consent to this situation because I didn't know the truth. And that's why wild lies break trust so hard, because the lie isn't just information, it's control. It's someone deciding what version of reality you're allowed to have. Now, people have sayings for a reason, because humans have been dealing with liars forever. You've heard people say, a liar will steal, or more specifically, people say, if they'll lie to you, they'll steal from you. What people mean by that is not that every liar is a criminal. What they mean is, if someone is comfortable crossing the honesty line, they may also be comfortable crossing other lines. Because once your morals are flexible, the boundaries get slippery. A person who lies easily can also justify other things easily. Stealing time, stealing peace, stealing your choices, stealing your trust. Another one people say is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if someone cuts corners with the truth in little ways, it may show up in bigger ways too. And then there's, a lie has speed, but truth has endurance. Meaning a lie can move fast, it can sound good, it can work for a while, but the truth has a way of outlasting the story. And one of the oldest ones. Oh, what a tangled web we weave, when first we practice to deceive. That's real, because one lie usually needs more lies to hold it up. Now you're not just lying, you're maintaining, you're managing, you're performing. Now let's get into why people lie, because this is where it gets human. Most people do not lie because they're evil. They lie because of fear, fear of conflict, fear of being judged, fear of consequences, fear of losing you. They lie because of avoidance, avoiding discomfort, avoiding accountability, avoiding hard conversations. They lie because of shame. They don't want to be seen clearly. They don't want to admit they messed up. They don't want to admit they're behind. And some people lie for control, controlling how you see them, controlling the outcome, controlling the story. Some people lie for reward, money, attention, access, validation. And then there's another layer. Some people lie so often that they start believing their own lies. This is real. And it usually happens because the brain doesn't want to see itself as the bad guy. So over time, people rewrite the story in their head. They minimize, they justify. They tell it so many times that it becomes their truth. It's like they start living in their own edited version. And if you try to confront it, you're not just confronting a lie, you're confronting their identity. That's why some people get so defensive, because admitting the truth would collapse the character they've been playing. Now let's talk about self-deception, because we can't talk about liars without talking about the lies we tell ourselves. I'm not bothered. I don't care. It doesn't hurt me. It's fine. I'll leave one day. They didn't mean it. They're gonna change. Self-deception is sometimes survival. Sometimes you're not ready to deal with what the truth would require, because truth requires action. Truth requires decisions. Truth requires loss sometimes. So you tell yourself a softer story so you can stay. Now let's go relationship by relationship. Romantic relationships. Romantic lies come in a few categories. Availability lies. I'm not talking to anyone. It's just a friend. I'm just busy. Intention lies. I want something serious. I'm ready. I'm not going anywhere. Transparency lies. That's everything. I told you the whole story. Sometimes it's not even about direct lying. It's drip feeding, giving you episodes instead of the whole season. That's honest, but not really. Friendships. Friend lies are sneaky. Jealousy disguised as jokes. Competition disguised as support. Gossip disguised as concern. People lying about what they said. Lying about who they're cool with. Lying about loyalty. Family. Family lives are complicated because family comes with history and obligation. Some families are built on secrets. Some families protect image. Some families do not talk about what hurts. And some people learn early that telling the truth is not safe. So they become an editor. They become a performer. They become a people pleaser. Work. Work lives are about performance. Looking competent. Avoiding blame. Stretching experience. And then there's finesse culture. Lying for discounts. Refunds. Benefits. Loopholes. People will say, I never got it, to get their money back, or it came damaged, even if it didn't, or I qualify, even if it's not true. And people justify it like companies do it to us. But the point is, lying becomes normalized. And once lying feels normal in one area, it can spread. Now let's talk about social media. Because social media is basically the honest but not really era. Curated wins, hidden losses, edited bodies, filtered faces, soft launch relationships, hidden breakups, motivational captions but no actual change. And again, I'm not judging anyone. I'm noticing how culture shapes us. Because when everybody is curating, honesty starts feeling optional. And truth becomes harder. Not a question people always ask. How do you tell if someone is lying? First, I want to say this. There's no magic body language trick that always works. Some liars look calm. Some honest people look nervous. So don't rely on one signal. Look for patterns. Patterns like the story keeps changing, not evolving, changing. They over explain. They dodge direct questions. They get irritated when you ask for clarity. Their words and behavior don't match. You feel managed. You feel like you're being handled. Consistency is louder than charm. Now, let's cover narcissistic pattern and manipulation. Not diagnosing anyone, just naming behaviors. Some people lie to protect ego. Some people lie to protect image. Some people lie to keep control. Some people lie to stay in a power position. So look for signs like rewriting history, denying things that you clearly remember, blame shifting, turning your questions into your flaw, punishing you for asking, making you feel crazy for noticing inconsistencies. That's not just lying. That's destabilizing. Now, is it ever okay to lie? This is where it gets nuanced. Sometimes people lie for safety. Sometimes people lie to protect someone from harm. Sometimes people lie because they genuinely believe the truth would cause unnecessary pain. But here's the line. Privacy is saying, I'm not sharing that. Deception is creating a false story. And the difference is consent. If my decisions depends on your truth, then lying is not harmless. Because now you are deciding for me. When is it ever okay to accept it? When do we forgive? When do we let it go? And when do we stop dealing with someone? Not every lie requires cutoff. And not every lie deserves unlimited grace. So here's a simple way to sort it, in my opinion. Was it a mistake or is it a pattern? A mistake looks like immediate ownership, no excuses, no blame shift. Someone saying, I lied. I understand why that hurt. I want to repair it, and I'll be transparent. A pattern looks like repeated deception, minimizing, defensiveness, making you feel dramatic, getting annoyed that you're still hurt, expecting trust without repair. Forgiveness is possible when there's ownership. Forgiveness becomes self-abandonment when there is denial. Let's be real. Sometimes we forgive people because we love them. Sometimes we forgive because we see their wounds. Sometimes we forgive because we know we're not perfect. But sometimes we forgive because we're scared to start over. And those are different reasons. Let's talk about acceptance. Is it ever okay to accept someone as a liar and just deal with it? This is uncomfortable. Some people are not going to change. Not because they can't, because they don't want to, or because honesty is not a value for them. So if you decide to keep them in your life, you have to adjust access. You cannot give full access to someone who doesn't live in truth. But most people don't truly accept it. They stay and still expect something different. That's where resentment grows. Now, confrontation. Do you confront the liar or quietly observe and leave? Confrontation works when someone has the capacity to reflect, when they can handle discomfort, when they can tolerate being wrong. But if every confrontation turns into chaos, defensiveness, gaslighting, or punishment, then silence is not weakness. It's strategy. Sometimes you don't confront to change them. You confront to get clarity. And once you have clarity, you decide. And here's a deeper layer. Sometimes you already know. They know you know. You know they know you know. And nobody says it. Because saying it would force a decision. And sometimes people would rather live in tension than face a loss. Now the hardest part. What if they just don't care? What if they lie, get caught, and genuinely don't care? That's not confusion. That is information. Because care shows up as remorse. Care shows up as discomfort. Compulsive lying. Some people lie even when it makes no sense. They embellish. They exaggerate. They make things up. Sometimes for attention. Sometimes because they want to feel important. Sometimes because their self-esteem is low. Sometimes because they grew up in an environment where they needed stories to survive. But if someone lies so much that they believe it, You can't argue them into the truth. You can only decide what you will participate in. Boundaries. Boundaries are not punishment. They are clarity. Enough is enough when lying becomes the pattern. They lie and blame you. They expect trust without repair. You feel like you're shrinking to keep peace. Boundaries sounds like, I need honesty to stay connected. If you can't be clear, I'm stepping back. I'm not arguing with what I already see. I'm not living in confusion. If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. The truth might hurt, but confusion exhausts. A lie is not just false information, it's control. It's someone deciding what version of reality you're allowed to have. And you have the right to make decisions based on the full picture, not the edited version, not the half-truth, not the honest, but not really. Patterns matter more than apologies. One mistake can be repaired. Repeated deception is a choice. Consistency is louder than charm. Privacy is valid, deception is different. If you constantly feel like you're guessing, something is off. Healthy connection does not require detective work. Boundaries are not punishments. They are clarity about what you will and will not participate in. And maybe the biggest one, you do not have to shrink your needs for honesty just to keep someone. If keeping them requires confusion, silence, or self-doubt, that connection is already costing you more than it's giving you. Thank you for listening to Breathe and Unpack. If today's episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend, family member, or someone you think could use the conversation. You never know, it might be exactly what they need to hear. I'd also love to hear from you. Email me at breathe, the letter N, unpack@gmail.com. Again, that's breathe, the letter N for Nancy, unpack@gmail.com. Or connect with me on Instagram at breathe, AND, unpack. Whether it's your story, your takeaway, or just a thought you want to get off your chest, this space is for all of us. And just a reminder, this podcast isn't therapy or professional advice. I'm learning and growing right alongside you. These are real conversations meant to spark reflection and support, not replace the help of a professional. We're building the support system together. One breath, one story, one moment at a time. Until next time, take a breath, lean in, and let's keep unpacking.